Perfect. We got a quorum. Let's open up the January 16th, 2024 Water Sewer Commission meeting. It's called to order. How about the Commissioner's Public Forum? Is anybody here to talk from the public? All right. Hearing none, let's move on to the warrants, minutes, and abatements.
Could I get a motion to approve the minutes from December 6th?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from December 6th.
Second?
Eric, can I get a second, please?
Yep, second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please, Sue.
Mr. McLam?
Aye.
Mr. Bernard?
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell?
Aye.
Could I get a motion to approve the warrants in $82,065.68?
I'll make a motion to approve the $1,065.68.
And second?
Second, Eric.
Roll call vote, Mr. McLam?
Aye.
Mr. Bernard?
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell?
Aye.
Great.
I believe Russ is waiting to get in soon, no?
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Sorry, Russ.
Hey guys,
Hi,
can
Russ.
you hear me?
Yes, sir. We just finished the warrants, minutes, and abatements. Russ, we're moving on to scheduled appointments for tonight. Though I do need to move around one thing, the water connection hardship application approval, which is under new business A tonight. I want to move that up to the beginning of the meeting. Russ, you want to explain what's going on with this? We lose Russell.
I don't know. I don't see him anymore. I don't think he's here.
Hold on one second. I'd prefer him to explain this since he was definitely more involved in
He's
this.
back. Hold on. I'm letting him in.
Yep, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Don't know what happened there.
Sorry. Anyways, Russ, we got the warrants, minutes, and abatements done. We're at the water connection hardship application. And I would just like you to kind of handle that since you were more involved in that than I was.
All right. So, for everyone's knowledge, there was an issue where there was not correct communication between the Board of Health and our department, and they didn't realize that there was public water at a property where a well shouldn't have been drilled. At this point in time, we don't want to create a hardship for the owner of the property who received that information from the town. So we would be willing to give this individual hardship, and this is the form that we will use in the future for a hardship if someone needs to get the variance or a hardship reason for not hooking up to town water and wants to drill a private well.
Thank you, Russ.
So I'll make a motion that we accept this form be used as our hardship form moving forward.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion on that? All right. A roll call vote, please, Sue.
Mr. McLam?
Aye.
Mr. Bernard?
Aye.
Mr. Jennings?
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell?
Aye. Okay, moving on to our scheduled appointments. 6:35, Veolia, our monthly operating report. Go ahead, Vinny.
All right, we're covering the month of November. The plant was staffed by myself, Grant Krisiak, and Amy Nassis. We performed lockout tagout classroom training. We also completed all of the VNA university trainings up until the end of November this month. We entered the DMR into the CDX on November 15th. There was 0 exceedances reported. The operations section, we received the new soda ash feeders and assembled them. We moved the green shed that was out near the sludge tanks and we put it up behind the plant. We replaced on the effluent probes, brought the scrap metal in that was in the yard, and we returned the money to the town. We built a new set of stairs behind the secondary clarifiers. They used to just be like a little dog chain instead of a railing. So we took that out, cleaned it up, and made some nice stairs. We calibrated the alkalinity analyzer again, and that's quite the process. It takes a few hours to get it right. We removed Comag Train 1, the mag drum reducing gear. The gear drive actually broke, so we removed it and a new one was delivered. The final effluent caustic trim pump failed with an overcurrent alarm twice during the month. We couldn't find anything causing the issue and it hasn't happened again since, so still running that one. The 2 wet well wizards, they were delivered during the month of November. And there was a crew on site installing new cameras around the plant. Slim Sewer Service came in and they cameraed a drain that we thought had a venting issue, and they found it to be clear. Collection system activities on the 7th and the 19th, we collected the MTA samples. We inspected the first stages of the sewer tie-in on Worcester Road near McClure Engineering. We spent 2 days tracking down and repairing water meters during the month. We met with Lynch and Langen Engineering at Route 20 to go over the upgrade plans. All the weekly tests were completed. Vine Street Pump Station, we repaired the vacuum system. LaFleur and plant staff worked together to replace the old dialers and get them up and running. So most of the pump stations are back on the old dialers. Russ, you had a question? All right, so while we were doing that project, we also noticed North Main Street's phone line was dead. We contacted the provider and they repaired it. We took 9 loads of sludge out and brought them to Cranston for disposal. We got 2 totes of caustic. We had a grinder pump call at 11 Lakeview Drive. We installed a new redundant run. We had another grinder pump call at 35 Sunset, and we replaced a float tree and reset it. We interviewed Zachary Campbell for the operator position, offered him the job, he accepted, and he's now working here. That's the MOR for the month of November. We got a couple other things to go over tonight. The town had the ARPA funds that we were looking to use. And we have a real problem handling returned activated sludge and waste activated sludge. So I spoke with Mr. Cantwell. We called up Wright Pierce and we had them come out to redesign the way we're handling. In your packet, there should be the agreement for Wright Pierce. And they're looking for $12,600 to design a new system that would incorporate pumps for everything. Right now, we use gravity to return the sludge. And it works, but it has some issues. If the sludge gets too thick, it plugs up. And then we got to go flush it. And it's labor intensive. We spend a couple hours every week just messing with this one area of the plant. And if you don't catch it, it becomes a real headache. And we've had Slims in completely pump down those clarifiers because they plugged up. So in my opinion, this is money well spent having them redesign it. And they're going to design it so we can source the stuff ourselves. We can order the pumps we want. They'll have specs. They'll identify every size and shape of pipe needed for the project and what we'll need for electrical connections and where. So I'm just looking for your approval on that packet tonight.
Vinny, when I spoke to the town administrator, we talked about the ARPA funds.
Yep.
Is there any process to make sure that those are 100% available to us before we vote this in? I mean, not that we can do that tonight, but do we know that those are available?
I don't know that they're
I don't
available.
know. Okay. I'm 99% sure that they're available. I did talk to the town administrator a month ago, and we talked about some ARPA funds being available. It was much more than this project here dollar wise.
Well, while we're speaking of dollars, I'm gonna jump on to the next thing. We had 3 EQ pumps fail in the past month. And they're not real old. So I had Flight come out here to see if they can troubleshoot why they're failing. And they couldn't come up with a definite answer of why, but they definitely failed. So to replace them with the same exact models that are there, it's $8,146 per pump. I was speaking with Wright Pierce and asking if there were any downsides to going bigger. And they didn't really see any downside to it. So I worked with Flight to get the next size pump up from what we currently have. This pump mechanically would be a drop-in replacement. We would need to upgrade our VFDs. But the old VFDs are still good, so we could use them in other locations as needed. But to get the upgraded size pump, they're $11,428. The reason I'm looking at the upgraded size is if we have 1 or 2 that do fail, we could still handle the flow coming into the plant without sweating. Currently, if we have 1 pump down, we're running the trash pump to keep up if it rains. If we have 2 pumps down, we're renting a 6-inch pump and really in trouble. So in my opinion, we should get the bigger pumps. Any questions on that stuff?
Yeah, let's go back to the last thing with the sludge system. Can I get a motion contingent upon the ARPA funds being available to cover this? That was the Excellium.
Isn't
Is that the name of the
12,000 for design.
Yeah, that's for the design, the specs for all the pumps and the specs for all the pipes and whatnot.
Yep, all right, I'll motion to approve.
Second,
Roll call vote, please, Sue. You're muted, Sue. Sorry.
Mr. McLean? Mr. McLean?
Aye.
Mr. Bernard?
Aye.
Mr. Jennings?
aye.
Mr. Cantwell?
Aye. All right, thanks, guys. That'll be a good project to get out of the way for Vinny. So let's move on to these EQ pumps. So they're 11,000 each, you said, Vinny?
Yes, sir.
And you need 3 of them?
We need at least 2 to be up and running with the main EQ tanks. We have another one that's bad in the first EQ tank, but that's a different size pump. So currently I have 3 EQ pumps down, but the first tank is a different size. And I haven't got to pulling that pump yet. We've been a little busy.
Okay. So can I get a motion to buy, so 2 pumps, did you say they were, what was the cost of it? I know I have that here in front of me somewhere.
They're $11,428.52.
52.
So just as backing up a couple of years here, every time we order these pumps, we always regret that we don't order more because when we go to reorder them, they're always more money.
Yes.
Is this we should just order 4 instead of 2?
I
The
would
price
say-
on these, the price on these Rush jumped. You wouldn't believe, Vinny, tell them how much the price of these jumped.
The last
Oh, I
time
know.
the last time I purchased, We paid 2,600 apiece. We should have bought a
Yep.
truckload.
I know, and that's why I'm saying, are we concerned that, okay, this is gonna be a trend here, and, you know, next time, 2 more years from now, 3 years from now, when we go to buy them, they're 15,000.
In my opinion, I'd recommend buying 4 now.
Okay,
For starters, if we're changing to the bigger ones, we're gonna want them to all be the same at some point. So
Yep.
as they fail, we're gonna be replacing them with all the same size.
Are
all
we
right, I'll
gonna,
make a motion, we purchase 4 of the pumps at this point in time.
We're gonna, just quick question, how many are there? So if we say we're all gonna get them to be the same model and stuff, you're doing 2 now and you get 2 spares. How many are left to get everything to the same model?
So the EQ tanks where these pumps go, there's 4. Then there's
Yeah.
another EQ tank that has 2 more, but they're a smaller pump.
But you want to get them to the same model, right?
Well, that tank, we don't want them quite as big. So we get treatment through the EQ tanks.
Yep.
All of the flow passes through EQ tank 1, and then it divides between EQ tank 2 and 3. So these
Yep.
4 pumps are at the ends of EQ tank 2 and 3. So they get treatment through there.
You keep those a different model, a little bit smaller pump.
Exactly. So in my head, I'm thinking as we swap out to the bigger pumps, the ones where we'll be
Yeah.
pulling out, we can put in that other tank. If they're still.
I get you, okay. So as you replace the 4, you can move those into the other
Correct.
2 that are remaining.
Yes.
Would it break the bank if we actually bought 6? Put a plan together to replace all 4, and then you have the spares, and then you, over time, this doesn't have to be done tomorrow, then you could move the other pumps into the other 2.
What do you got for space mini for storage for those? Are they big?
I can store them. I don't know that.
What
I
is
don't
the
know.
warranty? I think the last time we looked at doing this, there was the issue with the warranty of if we purchased them, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm mixing it up with something else. The reason why we didn't do a lot of them was the warranty starts the day we purchase them. So if we put them all on the shelf and good, bad, or indifferent, 2 of them don't go on for 2 years, we turn them on, they don't work, the warranty's up, right?
I believe you're correct.
Okay.
Um,
It's starting to come back to me now.
Yeah,
I
I
don't-
remember that discussion too now.
I don't think we would want 6 of the same size pumps. Just because if we pump from that other tank, we're pumping a different mixture. And we wouldn't want to be able to pump that much out of that tank. I think just moving the used pumps we have up to there should be sufficient.
So with the warranty piece you just remembered, is that a concern buying the 2 spares then?
Right,
It is and it isn't, but it's also, maybe we want to go an additional step than we really need, but maybe we don't want to go 2 additional steps further. And that's potentially somewhere in the middle of that theory of, being a little bit safer, but not going so far down the road that we get into potential warranty issues that we never utilize a warranty that on a product that we purchased. So.
I think I got lost. So what's the proposal then? How many?
4 would be the proposal.
We're sticking
So
with
it'd be-
4.
It would be 2 more than we need at this current time, but that could
And we're-
change tomorrow.
Yeah, and we're good with the warranty of the 2 sitting on the shelf.
Right.
Right. So has that motion been made to buy 4?
Russ made it.
I'll
Can I get
second
a
it.
second? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Peter,
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please, Sue.
Mr. McLam,
aye.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell.
Aye. That's it for you, Vinny?
Nope, one more quick, easy one.
Go ahead.
In your packet, Sue attached a grinder pump installation checklist.
Oh, yes.
And basically, the grinder pumps have been installed kind of like the Wild West. Whatever the builder feels like doing, that's what they get to do. It should all be standardized. There's a bunch of these grinder pumps where the electric panels are 6 inches off the ground. And when it snows out, the snow goes over the panel and we don't know where they are. So I would like the board to approve the use and implementation of a checklist. Basically certifying that every grinder pump meets these minimum requirements.
I think it's a great idea, Vinny. You said they do this in Sturbridge, right?
Sturbridge has one and it works really well. Once everybody's done it a couple, it gets familiar and there'll be no issues with the contractors, having to follow these rules. It's not asking to go above and beyond by any means. It's just asking to do the same things over and over.
All right, can I get a motion to accept this sewer installation and grinder pump checklist and implement starting tomorrow?
That works
I'll
for
make
us.
a motion, accept as printed.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote, please, Sue. Sue, you're on mute.
Mr. McLam,
Aye.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell.
Aye. Thank you, Vinny.
Yeah, thank you guys.
While we have Vinny on, do we want to just go over the trolley crossing with him? Because that does affect him a little bit. Or are you going to stay on, Vinny?
I'm gonna hang out anyways.
Okay,
All right.
very good. Thank you.
6:45 appointment, Mr. Steve Gregoire is here from Whitewater to talk about the school loop water situation flow. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Evening, everybody. Thanks for having me on. My wanting to be here was twofold. I haven't met everyone on the board or the commission yet. So those of you that don't know me, my name's Steve Gregoire. I'm the manager of the Southbridge Water Department. I do work for Whitewater. If you do need me, I'm at Southbridge DPW. Don't be afraid to call. In the past, I communicated either directly, mostly with Chris, or with Pete when he was here, and at times Rob Lemansky when he was the chair. So we haven't had a chance to work together, but again, my phone's always on, my door is always open. Some of you know that, some of you I know, some of you don't. I did want to talk a little bit tonight about the school loop flow as indicated. It's a little bit more of a systemic talk, but I'll try to be brief. We're still seeing low chlorine residuals on the backside of the school loop around the Heritage School areas where we check it. That's where the blow off hydrant runs. Right now the loop is in open loop because, as I'm sure you probably know, when we go into directional flow, it has caused pressure issues at Bay Path, and it also causes a low residual issue near Town Hall because that double-barreled main, and I apologize if you don't know the intricacies of the mains there, but there's double-barreled mains through the common area, and you end up with a dead end by Town Hall, which hurts the chlorine residuals. Chris and I have been talking back and forth. He had designed an interconnect on those double-barreled mains, basically 2 T's with a piece of main in the middle, so we can make the flow do what we want to do if we choose to go directional. Which directional flow is great for residuals. It'll make overlook your anchor of your school loop. but I don't necessarily know that it's the answer because that's just not a good way to run a distribution system. You want to have an open system where the water can move omnidirectionally and absorb pressure transients and surges and all the stuff that comes with every time somebody opens or closes a faucet or a booster pump kicks on or off. The water system has grown a lot over the years. I mean, since I've been here, a tremendous amount. But it's always been, the MTA system was built, and then we hooked into the side that was going to originally be hooked to Oxford, and then the school loop, and it's just been a piece on a piece on a piece. And some of the design of the system hasn't really been from a sustainable growth standpoint. It's been of a need standpoint, and I get that. There's humanitarian needs, there's all kinds of needs, but I guess with Pete not being here anymore, I just wanted to kind of have an open discussion and open the door for everybody to talk to me about what the system's going to look like going forward. Whether it's the blue tank activation, and there's challenges to that, not just filling it with water, of rechlorination, of flow direction. There's a myriad of things that they all hurt each other. You help with pressure and surges, you hurt the chlorine residuals. Water age goes up. It's definitely a kind of a living organism if you think of it that way. Everything affects another thing. So, my being here is just to make sure that someone is driving those initiatives on the larger scale, and because I know that unless it's not me right now. I operate the whole system, and I run Charlton as a part of Southbridge. It gets no more or less attention, but from a capital building standpoint, I'm not looking to develop the town because I don't have your budget. I don't have your approvals. That's kind of, you guys own that part of the system, and I'm always willing to work with you as a partner, but I wanted to know kind of what the dynamic's going to be going forward so we can really take the system to where it needs to be and have it work awesome. That's really the 10,000 foot view. And I apologize if everybody's not up to snuff on every little thing I was talking about, but I don't mind having a little Q&A and back and forth here as well, if your time allows. But
yeah, our time allows. So I guess real quick, Steve, and I know Chris is aware of this. We've been working to get the engineered design by the town hall so that we can get rid of that dead end. And then what I'd like to do again with you and Chris's blessing, I'd like to turn the valve back to a directional flow and leave Masonic as the anchor and kind of see what happens. I know it's going to help the residual for sure. Is it going to kill Bay Path Pump Station? I guess time will tell. And if it does, I think that's the time when we bring Exxon back to the table and we figure out what goes on with the blue tank. I think that's my thought process.
I think that's a good short-term solution if it works. It's not a viable long-term solution.
Sure. Do you have a suggestion for a long-term solution, Steve?
So I had been working with Pete a little bit and a little bit with Kleinfelder when they was still in the loop. Is the blue tank a solution? It really could. The model suggested it could be if we were to rechloriminate there. Rechloriminate, that's a heck of a word to get out of your mouth. But the model suggests it, and you hate to say, I say it that way for a reason. We don't know. We think it'll work. It should give you more head pressure. It should give you more available hydraulic flow with less restriction, less C value. It'll definitely take care of the residuals issues. The computer says it works.
Yeah, so my thought is to try to bring Exxon back to the table to help with that. If the Bay Path Pump Station goes out and the residuals are gone. Yeah,
and how that kind of, from my end, it's weird. We've got a triad here of Exxon and the town and me as the operator, the licensed operator for the system. My number one thing that DEP has told me is they don't care about any of the stuff we have going on. They don't want issues. So if we've got whatever we have to do to make it work and feed people in a legal, safe manner, that's what they care about. So, Steve, why wouldn't the long-term solution be to run in directional flow if that all worked and the Bay Path Pump Station didn't run out of flow and the residuals were fine? Why isn't that a long-term solution? let me rephrase. If we don't have any pressure issues, then it could be a long-term solution.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I
mean,
think
you're
one of
always
the
running-
biggest,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
one of the biggest, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the biggest issues with that is, when you talk about things that interrupt that flow and just turning on certain things. If somebody, for instance, turned on a hydrant, right?
Right.
With that dead end loop, this is where we run into major problems, right?
We really don't know in directional flow what would happen at overlook when we start doing hydro flushing. We know it affects bay path.
Yep.
But when
Yep.
you're in unidirectional like that, and you pull, say we open a hydrant near Heritage School at the low point, is that going to negate the flow from making it all the way to overlook? We won't know until we do it. The map and the elevations suggest that it would, but we've seen in the real world that it sometimes doesn't. And those are kind of my
Yeah, and that's
feelings, you know?
If you can run it as a loop and it's not all pushing one way, that's always optimum. But like Dave is saying and like you're saying, if we make the connection at the town hall and then we try it in the directional flow, we're going to find out if what ExxonMobil said would work works. And if it
Yes.
doesn't, then that is potentially our opportunity to say to ExxonMobil, listen, you guys said, Kleinfelder said, this is what was going to be proposed. This is what was going to work. This is how we're going to operate the system. I remember Mara telling us that's the way it was going to be. And now it's not. So we have a potential solution for you, and it's going to cost X to put the blue tank on, and that's probably going to help the system.
Yeah, I would say that statement is probably defendable, put it that way. I hate speaking in
Yeah.
absolutes because, you know, it's not a
No,
good
no,
thing.
no.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And that's, I mean, that's a position Kleinfelder has now taken today, or they are taking, is we proposed this and we thought that it was going to be able to run fine, but now we're finding out that it's not. And, well, we're done here. That's not acceptable to us on the commission.
Right. And
Oh.
I seem to remember Kleinfelder's design the way everyone else here does, that it was made to work in directional flow. I know they've refuted that a little bit recently.
But they said it was supposed to be in loop flow, didn't they, Steve?
They had said that it should be in loop flow, that directional flow was just for startup, which is not how I remember it being proposed. I would almost suggest if we were to go that route, let's just take it down the path. Let's assume for a minute we've got to re-engage Exxon. I would probably want to maybe speak with former Director Blakely, who's now in Sturbridge. I think she would also back up that position, just to kind of have all your ducks in a row if we get to that point. Because I remember, like I think everybody here remembers it, that they told us it would work in directional flow, in one single direction, with overlook at the end.
Yeah. Yep. That was the whole reason why we required overlook, why we asked them to go off of their wells, and why we asked them to be the anchor.
Right.
Yeah, we also
Otherwise,
gave
the
them
conversation never
$1
would have
million.
happened.
Right.
The one that's not a caveat, I will tell you guys, operationally, we made a small change to the system 2 weeks ago. Because of the loop design, is within the Heritage and the middle school area, there's like a loop on the back of the loop so we could force the water to go all the way around. That left you with 2 large pipes feeding both buildings from each side, which has a lot of volumes of pipe to try to turn over when you're not forcing it to go directionally. We shut off the longer of the 2 sticks. So now you've got the one main driveway for Heritage School feeding, and it branches off to feed both buildings in an effort to turn that main over more, just by its own consumption, its own usage. It looks like it's working. It's tough to tell because everything works in the wintertime. The residuals at Christmas time still were not great. They were still hovering very low, and just shutting off that piece of main to force all the water to go down one stick has helped somewhat. The residuals are still not great. But I would say the residuals went from a 0.1 to a 0.3. I mean, we went 3 times higher, but it's still not a great number.
Yeah. But
But
they just somebody else to be 0.5 or higher, Steve. Is that what they want to be?
with chloramines, you want to. They're a great disinfection. They last quite a while, but they're weaker than free chlorine. So 0.5 would be the target. That's where you try to want to be. And my fear is next year, well, actually this year, now we're in 2024, we have a sanitary survey coming up with Mass DEP. I am in the process right now of updating our system maps in Southbridge, and I know you guys have had some recent map work done. They're gonna want to see all these maps, and they're gonna look for where we're most vulnerable, where our dead ends are, where our high water age are. I think Chris can attest to this. And they're gonna change where we sample for our bacterias. And they want to pick where you're most vulnerable. They're gonna go for the Heritage School area, because they can see clearly on the map, that's where your dead end is, your high water age. So we need to be thinking on ways of how to rectify this. And truthfully, if we were to make it go directional flow, they would probably make a sample at Overlook, because that would be the end of the line. Either way, they're gonna try to get you where you're hurt, because they got to make sure everybody's safe and protected.
So Chris, you're on the line now. I get kind of a technical question for you, and you might not know the answer to this question. It might have been brought up before, but I believe the Overlook uses 40,000 gallons a day. Do you know how much water is stored in the line from like on the school loop? Do you know how much water is stored in that line?
Yeah, I mean, it's just about that. I believe that calculation was just about 40,000, and just the school loop that, that's 6 miles of water main. It's just about 40, in that area there.
So in theory, it should be flushing out. The Overlook should be flushing out the system every day.
Ideally, yeah, yes.
Does that make sense to you, Steve?
It is. That was kind of the intention of the way we designed the system. Originally, it was laid out with 12-inch pipe, and we said, no way.
Right.
You've got a plan that correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, the calculation was if we had 50% of the homes available tie-in and Overlook, that it should equal the same amount of volume as all the pipes in the loop.
Right.
So we had a calculated estimate that we should turn it over every day.
Okay.
It's just the fact that your bigger anchor, right? Your anchor is at the beginning, your residential use isn't high enough, and it makes the water in the backside of the loop kind of go stagnant.
Do we know what percentage of people connected?
It was more than 50%, just over. It was a little over 100 people out of the 200 possible.
Okay.
And I think that included empty lots too. I'm not, it was every lot that could be, every parcel that could connect,
Sure.
built or not built. But we had probably like 108, 112 houses that tied in, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this is just, like I said, this is just an opportunity to engage with you guys and ladies, and open up a dialogue again to make sure we're moving the system forward. That's all.
Yeah, and listen, we're happy to see you here, and our door is wide open too, Steve. You can come to any meeting anytime.
Yep.
And you have my number, and I did stop up last week, actually. I don't know if your guy told you I was in the area, and I took a buzz up there. They said that you were away on vacation, but
Oh yeah.
he told me that you guys had like 1 trillion gallons of water up there. It blew my mind. You got such a big spot there. I didn't know it existed.
1 billion gallons.
1 billion. Yeah, crazy. Crazy. So
I mean, that's, like I said, that's all I kind of have for you guys. Just opening a dialogue for the most part.
yes, so that's our plan, Steve, is we're gonna get this engineered design from Chris, and we're gonna connect the town hall and cut that dead end off.
Okay.
And then we're gonna go see what happens from there.
And I would suggest probably once, I don't know, I guess, again, this would be a discussion for everybody. Would we want to wait for school to be out to try this, or do we want to,
I think we want to find out what's gonna happen, right?
right? I mean, part of me says, do we do it during the summer, and then if it survives through the summer when school reopens? But now we're in fall before we know. I guess the construction season will also, the weather will dictate what you guys can get done, but.
Sure. My full intention is to get that done as soon as possible.
Yep. Yeah, Chris sent me the blueprint. I think we're spot on. We can locate it. We're at a spot where we can put just one valve in with two T's and a small stick of pipe. And, it'll give us some operational flexibility there.
Okay.
Couple things that I'm looking at there is one is that sewer line is in between those two, that double barrel line. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna pull this, let me see if I can't pull up my, screen here. Second. Okay, that is the design plan. Okay. Can you folks see my screen or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I see the list of your PDFs you have open right now.
Oh. There we go. You see, you get the full screen now? Let's see.
No,
Good.
I'm still seeing your, desktop with your file system.
Okay, so let's see. So, let's see. And one of these,
And while Chris is doing that, talking about residuals, you know, I know we're focusing on Heritage School, but that isn't the only location with residuals issues. You know, during the summertime, you, at times, depending on the water quality, see residuals issues at 5E, all the way past Treehouse at the end. There are, you know, basically the system is still just a big dead end. I know you've got your offshoot on Main Street into the school loop, but basically your water goes up Stafford Street, comes down North Side, comes down Route 20, goes past Treehouse. It's a big, long, single stick dead end. So again, not having that web of distribution system. And I know Charlton's a rural town and there's, you know, other issues with topography and everything else, but, you know, I think the reclaraminator should cure most of the issues in that system. But I get it that you've got to take these steps and then talk to Exxon and re-engage. But it really isn't, Heritage isn't the only spot where we struggle.
I didn't know that, Steve. I actually thought the school spot was the only spot that have we always struggled at 5E?
It's seasonal. It really depends on if it's a rainy summer or a dry summer. If the water temperature is through the roof, when it gets underground, it acts like an insulator. It keeps that temperature up. That just eats chlorine up big time. It's, you know, the tank up on top of the hill there, over in near the rest stop, is a big concrete tank, and it absorbs heat like in a big adobe hut, and it just warms the water up. It goes back in the ground where it stays warm. It's funny, if you open up H. Putnam Road to help with pressures, the age of the water goes up at the 6W tank. If you close H. Putnam to force the water around in a single direction, then your high water age is way at the end at 5E. That's the end of the chain. You know, it's again, it feels like you're right on the precipice of it working good. It needs that
we're
one
not
little
far away, but we just
I
need
don't
something.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris, I started talking while you had your blueprints.
Yeah,
up.
no problem. So basically, we're right here at that main intersection. This is where the double barrel is constructed. There's an 8-inch water main here, and there's another one here. There's control valves up on the north side here. And this is where we're proposing to install that interconnection valve. I've talked with some of the suppliers. I want to make sure that we're keeping, keeping the amount of materials needed to make this And speaking with DJ Prescott, they think of tap, a live tap on each of these pipes, keep this water line open, and then, get this valve in there. So instead of having to cut these and creating those T's, Steve, and cutting them in and having, the connections on either side, may be able to just facilitate it with a couple of insertion valves.
Yeah, I mean, if you saddled it and did a live tap and then put your main in the middle, that's gonna work perfect.
Yeah. So that's ideally, I just wanted, again, trying to get the cost down as much as possible, and any disturbance to the, the water, the end users. And we'll also be able to put in a, corp in here to test this line prior to it activating as well. So,
And just so everybody knows, the goal here is to have the water come down from the north. And then we would valve it off appropriately so that it would take a left-hand turn up Old Worcester Road. It would go around the loop. When it comes back up Mugget Hill and comes back north on Main Street, it would go down the double-barreled main in front of Town Hall and on the other side. When it hits where this proposed piece of main is, there's closed valves on the other side of it, especially as we're looking at the map on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
That would force the water to make a right down that new piece of main, come back together and head towards Masonic Home. Right now, the only way to get the water to flow the way we want it to, you have to leave a valve open on the double barrel and the water goes up to feed Town Hall, where it hits a closed valve on the other side. It's kind of the only way to make the water go around. So this will give us that one last little bit to make the water cross over and get where we want it to.
all right, so let me see if we can just show this a little bit better. And pop this in. So, yeah, basically bring the water up. Let's see if I can get this, blow this up a little bit more.
And the location of the proposed main is what's important because we can put it on the right side of the operational valves that are currently there.
Right.
If they're in the right spot, it gives you everything you need.
So basically run this water down, Morton Station. And right now, Steve, you have that line cut off. So it's just,
Yep, the line to the left on your screen is the one that's cut off on the school loop.
Yeah.
But we would reopen that if we were gonna go true loop flow.
Right. Send the water down and then back up through Mugget Hill and up into the overlook.
Yeah, and as long as, we have good stable pressures and the adding of the tanks at Bay Path work, then when somebody turns on a pump at Masonic Home, hopefully it doesn't affect Bay Path. We won't know until we try it.
Right. To date, Bay Path, to date, the overlook has had minimal, the only interruptions we saw with low pressure where those pumps kicked out was initially during startup. So they haven't experienced any of the issues that they've seen over here at Bay Path. But again, that pump station location was much more optimal relative to the elevation versus the one, one that services the Bay Path High School here.
All right. Anything else, Steve?
No, like I said, that was it. I'm just glad to
Okay,
come and
perfect.
introduce myself to everybody and make myself available.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, it's greatly appreciated, Steve. Thank you for you and all your guys' help down there.
Yeah, you bet, Russ.
All right. So Chris, I'm gonna have that. We have that engineer plan. We got that plan.
We do, and we're just gonna, we just have to take a look at that, the bidding requirements for it. I'm trying to get an engineer's opinion of probable cost. I'm waiting to hear back from DJ Prescott on the components there.
Okay.
And then depending upon those numbers will be, will dictate how this thing has to, go.
Go to bed.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Chris.
you got it.
7 o'clock appointment. Go ahead, Sue. Do you want to say something? No.
I was saying bye to Chris.
Oh, okay. Bye, Chris.
Yes, Sue. Bye, Dave.
7 o'clock appointment, Gem Builders, North Side Road, connection hardship. Russell, you want to take this over?
Sure, Sue, we have the hardship request from Mr. Jim.
We have the, well, the application that you guys approved just a little
Yeah.
while. I have not spoken, to Mr. Jim, about this. Well, very little.
Okay, so has he filled out a copy?
No, we needed to have it approved first.
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the hardship request once filled out.
Can I get a second?
I'll make a second.
Any more discussion?
Again, just for the record, this is sort of the in-house cleanup for the situation that involved the well that was drilled where there is municipal water. And this was
Yeah.
based upon bad information given to the applicant by the town.
And let's specify the address on that. So is that 45?
Mr. Jim, that's correct, 45 North Side?
No, this
Correct.
existing house, 47 is the new construction house.
47.
By, highway department.
Okay,
So
so we
the
have a
motion
hardship.
47.
Okay,
Yes,
can I get a second?
Peter second, didn't he?
Yes.
Okay, roll call vote, please, Sue.
Mr. McLam,
Aye.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Jennings,
Aye.
Cantwell.
Aye. All set, Mr. Jim?
Dave,
so,
go ahead.
yes, thank you. I just need to come down and see Sue and fill out a hardship request form. Is that what you're indicating?
Yes, sir.
Yep, so you'll fill it out and then Dave, our chairman, has to sign it. And then we're good, and then I'll send a copy to Kurt.
Thank you so much for the meeting tonight, everybody, and I appreciate
Sorry
you.
for the delay.
It's okay. It was, very interesting stuff, and I apologize for asking for this hardship after hearing all of that about the water. But, again, thank you for the meeting tonight and, your consideration, everybody. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, Dave. Sorry it happened to you.
No, I look forward to working with you guys on tying in on the rest of the lots I have down there. So,
Fantastic.
the other
Appreciate it.
one. Yeah. Again, thank you, everybody. I'll see you, this week sometime soon.
All right, sounds good.
Okay? Bye.
Bye.
Sue, moving on, new business, FY 25 water and sewer budget.
Yes.
Fun stuff.
As part of your packet was the FY 25 budget. Did you all get a chance to review it? Do you have any questions?
Good work, Sue.
Good work, Sue.
So
Yep, agreed.
the water budget, if you guys want to hear my spiel, pretty much stayed the same. And then for the sewer budget, we took jumps in our O&M line, which is because of Veolia and overtime, some pass-through issues, and just price increases. And then Veolia's line item went up because we increased their monthly limit from 2,500 to 5,000. So that went up 6.2%. And everything else pretty much stayed the same. We kept it as is. And if you can see, I had on the side where we stand as of January 10th. So in our maintenance line, we still have 150,000 left, which will carry us through the end of June. And for Veolia, we have 322,000 left, which will carry us through the end of June.
Fantastic.
So you guys, I have an appointment with the finance committee March 15th. to present to the finance committee. So I need your approval so I can take it to them.
Somebody like to make a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion to
Motion to
approve it.
approve?
Second.
Russ, second. Roll call vote, please, Sue.
Hold on. I'm gonna do it in order. Mr. McLean,
Aye.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell.
Aye.
Great, thanks.
Russell,
Thank
next
you.
on the list is the Trolley Crossing multifamily development. I know you also spoke with somebody about this matter.
Yeah, so we we have talked with Jay DuBois. He's gonna be handling this for Richard Care. Spoke with Vinny briefly about this. We're going to be asking them to submit to us the following. First of all, I'm gonna need an as-built. Second, we're gonna need an easement for the sewer line. Third, pressure test the sewer line. Must be pressure tested. Fourth, manholes have to be pressure tested. Of course, Vinny will have to witness this testing, so they are going to have to notify Vinny of when it's going to be taking place and make sure they schedule it with him. That's for starters. What we might find along the way, who knows? But initially, that's our first look, and that's what the planning board has asked us to do. Vinny, are you still on the call?
Nah, Vinny left.
Okay. I'm sure that's pretty much it with the initial stuff, and like I say, if anything comes up from there, we'll just deal with it. But that's
Yeah.
the
We don't need any type of motion for this, do we?
No, I don't think so. I think we're just submitting comments back to the planning board. That's all. Typically,
Okay.
when a development comes through, they ask for initial comments and questions, and this is it. So,
Have you talked to the planning board?
me personally, no. Nope.
Okay,
We'll just
I
send
haven't
this list along, Sue, if you could, please.
sure.
And just for Peter and Eric's knowledge, this is an existing sewer line that's already there, but is unused.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to old business. Betterment transfer 17A-3.
So at our last meeting, you guys approved the betterment transfer, but it did not mention specific map, block, and lots, which I would like to be specified so that the assessors have it spelled out for them. So also in the last motion, it was stated that it was Center Depot Road when it's a City Depot Road. So there's a recommended motion at the bottom of the memo, and if someone could just make that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as accepted.
Second,
Second. Can I get a second?
All right, I'm trying not to second because I wasn't here last time, so
I'll
okay.
second.
thank you.
Roll call vote, please, Sue.
Mr. McLean,
Aye.
Mr. Bernard.
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Cantwell.
Aye. Let's see, moving on in old business. Managing director, superintendent discussion. Russ, go ahead.
All right, I asked that we place this on the agenda just to keep the commission updated. We have been working with HR
for, well, a little over 3 months now, trying to get a resolution to clean up the new position here and sort of fit it into the classification chart that the town has. So what we've been trying to do really is put a square peg in a round hole, and HR is still trying to help us with that. I spoke to Lynn again today. She was going to do some more work on it this week, and hopefully she has better answers for us the beginning of next week. So just really wanted to keep you guys updated on this. And again, we've asked Sue to step into a certain role, step up her game a little bit, which she has. She's been doing the work of the old and the new position for, since Peter left in September, and we still haven't been able to bring her pay compensation up to where we all believe it should be. So we'll continue to work on this, and thank you, Sue, for your patience in this matter.
So is it all right if I ask, typically, now I'm in corporate America, but typically if I need a job description, I write a job description, it maps to a pay category, and then comps it based on the pay category. What's the square peg round hole on this one?
So there is no position that exists in our system that really is what we're asking Sue to do.
Right. So that it's a new job description, but that job description should map to an existing pay code, right? Pay range, pay grade.
Well, no, because there is no quote unquote managing director box to fit it into. And that's what they're having an issue with.
So
Okay.
we've been wrestling with this, Eric, and it's a great position for the town to be in, I believe, where we are, in a sense, saving the town $100,000 a year. A town that's as budget conscious as Charlton should be at this point in time needs to be able to figure this out, not only for this situation, but in the future, and make sure that, when things like this come up, we're fluid enough to be able to handle it. Part of the problem is that what the cure to this situation was, years of old, was a committee called, the
Personnel committee.
Personnel Committee. That's right. Thank you, Dave. The Personnel Committee is defunct. There were no volunteers. No one sits on the Personnel Committee. Whereas before, when there was an active Personnel Committee and the way this system was designed, we would go before the Personnel Committee and just say, guys, this is what's going on. And they would have the right to override the system and say, just here, we're going to put in this new classification today, right? That just doesn't exist because no one staffs that committee. So it's sort of a gray area that we're stuck in. And, I talked with the selectmen, talked with Andrew, talked more with Lynn. So hopefully we have the solution coming. And if not, then, we're going to be back on the subject our next meeting. So.
Okay.
All right. And again, thank you, Sue, for being patient.
Thank you guys for being patient.
My patience is wearing thin on the subject matter. But
All right, thank you guys. Let's see, any other business? Next meeting, Sue, February 7th.
Yeah, how does that work for everybody?
That's a Wednesday.
I believe so. Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
hey,
Does that work out for everybody?
Yep.
All
Yep,
right.
that works.
All right, perfect. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote, please, Sue.
Mr. McLean,
Aye.
Mr. Bernard,
Aye.
Mr. Jennings,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell?
Aye.
Okay, we're
Thank
good.
you, guys. Have a great night.
Guys, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.